Thanks for staying with us. Technology has undoubtedly brought about positive changes in our lives. It has revolutionized the way we live, learn and connect with the world. However, it also carries a significant downside that is particularly concerning when it comes to young people. With the end-of-year exams looming, how can parents and educators help the children in their care with digital detoxing? For more on this now, I'm joined by STADIO's Head of Marketing and Student Recruitment, Atelisha Harital, who joins us virtually from Pretoria this morning. Atelisha, thank you so much for your time this morning. Screen time. I mean, I've got a toddler, and this is something that you hear spoken about all the time. And I can only imagine, I mean, she's not going to write matric or end-of-year exams anytime soon, but time on the screen or with a gadget needs to be managed some way, because they even talk about it being addictive and having a chemical effect on your brain.
Absolutely true. And I think there's hundreds of parents around the country who identify with you. I mean, you're busy, they're on a screen watching something, and you get on with cooking the meal. So I think it can have an effect on your brain. And we often ignore one very key word, which we do everywhere else. We say have a balanced diet, but we don't say balance your digital media intake, your device intake. So balance for me is the key jump off point into this conversation.
And I suppose the problem is that our phones have become an extension of our bodies. I mean, even with all this talk about watching the Springboks win the World Cup, people were watching it on television while also interacting with the world on their phones in their hands at the same time. Now, yes, that shows that you have great focus and you can do more than one thing at a time. But how are you advising students to manage that? Because if you need to focus on studying for exams, you need to focus on studying for your exams, don't you?
Absolutely. I think we're in a strange time in terms of we're being faced with the challenge of AI, of digital literacy, of an ability to organize technology and understand how you can use it to advance your own learning. So we must find that balance, and we must empower students with that ability. But at the same time, we know from what the science tells us that if you're on a screen for more than 3 hours before bed, it's going to affect your ability to get a great night's sleep, which will then affect your ability to focus and be able to do your studies. We understand that how easy it is to jump from your online lecture onto TikTok and be scrolling on your phone whilst attempting to be absorbing knowledge at the same time, which unfortunately is not something the brain is very good at. So I think what's important is that we must encourage the right kind of digital literacy, but also provide support, advice, and guidance on how to balance your consumption of digital technology, but also the effect that too much of social media can have on your self-esteem, your mental health, your general perception of yourself among all these influencers who only show curated moments of their lives.
Are we fighting a losing battle here? I see the statistics in your statement saying that in 2022, the world collectively spent over 12.5 trillion hours online, with South Africans emerging as some of the most voracious internet users, spending an average of at least 9.5 hours online per day. That's an entire working day for many people. Are we fighting a losing battle here? I saw a child expert on social media, as one does, say that perhaps we shouldn't be focusing on the time spent online for young people. We should be looking at the quality, as you just mentioned there, of the content that you're taking in. But that's difficult when you're talking about students who are having to study a specific field, is it? Is it, like you said, just about finding that balance?
It is absolutely about finding that balance, but I think the concept of what do you consume in social media, what do you consume when you're on your screen is also key. There's content out there that is built to create anxiety and panic, that makes you feel insecure about the shape of your nose, that can give you anxiety because you don't necessarily have the latest, most fancy gadget, etc. So I think what you consume is important. And part of upskilling young people to be better digital citizens is having to skill them to know how to communicate in real life, to understand how to negotiate the pitfalls of social media while providing them with the platform that empowers them, but giving them that mental fortitude, that mental strength to apply their judgment and know when they need to put their device down, know that everything they see there is not real, rather a set of curated moments. So what we do is we do the digital empowerment part in that we'll buy them the laptop or the screen if they need it for studies. But then we don't do the second part, which is discussing what they are consuming, having conversations about channels they follow, about what uses at their relevant institution that technology empowers them to do. What are they learning? Are they perhaps learning coding? Are they learning how to build a website? Is there notes on there that they may read in preparation for their exams? Being in touch with how they actually use technology is the second part to providing them with connectivity and a device, and then assuming we've sort of done something positive. The second part, where you coach, you mentor, you give support, is where institutions have to come to the party. And I mean, we do this at STADIO through the Center for Student Success, where we give them the opportunity to have a time management workshop, a workshop that examines how they consume content. And that is important as well, because then it's not just me on my own figuring it out at the very sensitive time when my brain is doing a lot of development. It's also me communicating to people I trust, being guided on how to negotiate this new space that empowers me to do it better. So you can't entirely just say, I'm going to shut away your phone and then hope that a recovery would occur.
But at the same time, perhaps not when you're dealing with teenagers or tweens, as it were, a little bit of digital detox would go a long way, wouldn't it?
Absolutely. I think the December vacation is probably a great time to get into that.
You can't say it in December, Atelisha, because that's when you get to show everybody what a great time you're having and that they would want to be where you are.
You have to be in the moment, be where you are, enjoying the time that you're having. And it possesses, even for us as working adults who sit on Zoom calls all day, and now team phones allow people access and FaceTime to you all the time. It's a great opportunity to give yourself a chance to enjoy some real community, some real socializing, and give the screens a break for some time. And you can go back to sort of updating everyone on the delicious meals you ate or the beautiful location you went to holiday on when you're back in Jan.
Yeah, you can do it as a hashtag throwback. I don't even know if people still do that anymore.
Yes, later grams.
Yeah, indeed, indeed. Thank you so much for your time. Some great insight there and some tips, I think, that all of us really, not just students and their parents, can implement, especially post-World Cup. I think we spent a lot of time on social media during the World Cup celebrating together.
Oh dear, yes.
In real time.
Celebrating, fighting all comers who arguing, South Africa.
Taking down the English and the Irish as keyboard warriors. Okay, thank you so much for that chat. STADIO's Head of Marketing and Student Recruitment, Atelisha Harital, joining us virtually, also on Zoom from Pretoria. We thank her for her time and her insight this morning.